I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for joining me on Not Bobby Durkins, because I'm Brian Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins here, screaming and yelling and going. If you're brand new here, most likely you are, because the channel is brand new. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. What does that mean? Subscribing is free, so don't be cheap. You could even be cheap and you could subscribe. It wouldn't cost you a thing. And then the notifications bell lets you know when I go live and post new content. So I do appreciate it. See, Parker Henderson is already in here. Parker, you and I got to see Grayson McCall live in Atlanta, and that was a lot of fun. And we had a great night so let's dive right in. Grayson McCall, one of my favorite players in college football over the past 3 seasons, plays at Coastal Carolina. Now, I live in the upstate of South Carolina in the Greenville area. So I'm about 3 hours, 45 minutes to Conway. So Coastal Carolina, a little geography lesson for those out there who really doesn't know about Coastal Carolina. Yes, it's on the coast of South Carolina, but it's commonly referred to as Myrtle Beach. It's not actually Myrtle Beach. It's in Conway, which is about 15 minutes from South Myrtle Beach. So I guess maybe I'm splitting hairs, but because I've been there so many times, I always kind of like to differentiate. So Coastal Carolina was a Division One AA school, FCS, have you. And they started their football program about 20 years ago, 22 years ago, somewhere in there. And then they moved to the Sun Belt over the past few years. Jamie Chadwell took over the team. It was kind of odd because their former coach, who's now the AD, was having some health issues. Some stuff was going on. So Jamie Chadwell took over. The team didn't really like him because he came from Charleston Southern, who was a rival school at one time. For another geography lesson, Myrtle Beach and Charleston is a little over an hour and a half from each other. A little over an hour and a half, according to how fast you drive. So he takes over. They have this historic meeting where he just basically says, look, I want you to go ahead and get out of your system that you don't like me. Maybe we can talk this through. And then they've had this successful season, these successful 3 seasons. The only reason that they lost some of the games they lost this year, and in the fashion that they did, was not because of Grayson McCall. It was because they really don't have a complete defense. Now, I know someone's going to come on here and say, Josiah Stewart this and Josiah Stewart. I said a complete defense. Josiah Stewart is an incredible athlete. He entered the transfer portal, and he would be a great pickup. In fact, I would be glad for Clemson to go after him and pick him up, because I think he'd be a great addition there. But one person is not a complete defense. We're not playing basketball here to where you're going to add one player and change the trajectory of the franchise. You can't do that. This is football. There's a lot of layers of the onion you have to peel back to fix the problems in football. So with all of that said, Grayson McCall, when he hit the field, you were dealing with a different breed of an individual. Now, he is from the Charlotte, North Carolina area, the Indian Trail. So he's from that area. Was not a highly recruited guy, but Jamie Chadwell brought him in. And folks, I've said this multiple times as Bobby Durkins. I've said it on this channel. And then if you know me personally and you're just talking football with me, you know that I've made this comment. But if you have not heard me make this comment, here we go. Grayson McCall is the best RPO quarterback in the country right now. I'm just letting that sink in. Now, I know some people are going to go, well, what about Cade? What about Cade? What about Cade? Yes, Cade is a wonderful talent who, for some reason, his coaching staff wanted to sit him on the bench the entire time. And just to throw this out there, what we saw in that North Carolina game, I'm trying not to go on a tangent. Y'all know me. I'll do it. What we saw in that North Carolina game just didn't happen. We were being lied to the entire time. I think we all know that. Unless Unless you're one of those individuals who thinks peeing all over yourself and just walking through public and there's no big deal, unless you're one of those individuals, you know that you were lied to. So I can't count Cade into that because Cade had no time to play. There's some English teachers out there right now who are just totally losing their mind that I just said it like that. With all of that said, Grayson McCall is the best RPO quarterback in the country. Now, little known fact, my oldest son, Bobby Durkins Jr., he's 16. He loves Coastal. And of course, being young and so on, he really liked them when they just come out of nowhere and started playing great. He started focusing on, and then they had the historic game against BYU. And so he asked me, he said, this is back in 21. He said, man, I'd love to go to a game. So one day I surprised him. And for my birthday, I took him to see Coastal. So me and his mom took him down there. We left Bobby Durkins Jr. with some family because, well, you don't want to take a kid that young to a football game unless you don't want to watch the football game. You have to leave early. That's just life. And we had a great time. And then this year, I took Bobby Durkins Jr. and my two nephews to the opening game. It was the first sellout in the history of Coastal Carolina. Army came to town. It was a lot of fun. The weather was beautiful. The night was majestic. I got to see McCall play in person then. Then, a few weeks later, I was dumb and wasn't afraid to get mugged, and I drove me and Bobby Durkins down to downtown Atlanta and saw Coastal Carolina play at Georgia State, which is the old Ted. Parker Henderson's in here. He met up with us. We had a great time. Chase flaked out because he had to go to a funeral. Priorities. But my point in all of that is I've seen Grayson McCall play a lot on TV, and I've seen him play in person. I have seen some great quarterbacks play in person, including Trevor Lawrence. And I'm going to say it again. Grayson McCall is the best RPO quarterback in college football right now. And I'm glad that he's going to play the bowl game. That's nice. If he didn't, I wouldn't blame him. But he is transferring out. And I'm going to say this. If there is any coach out there who wants a true blue competitor, or a teal blue competitor, and you want someone who will go out there and run your offense like a man, and who will go out there even if they're injured and put their body on the line, if you want someone who can really sell the handoff and then suddenly the ball is thrown 30, 40 yards down the field on a dime, on a rope, and you're going, holy crap, how did he get the ball up and down the field that fast and it's accurate? You better call Grayson McCall. Now, if you want to go with some quarterback who did really well coming out of high school, and maybe he went to one of these big schools and he was there for a year, maybe two, kind of came in, had some good looks, but at the end of the day, he really didn't have that much responsibility. If you want to roll the dice on that, I think you're an idiot. And we have found out that just because you're paid millions and millions of dollars does not mean that you make good decisions. I'm talking about for any coaching group. Texas spent so much money on the transfer portal and on recruiting players. And what do they have to show for it? What, 7-5? They're 7-5. Boy, that sounds like a great investment. That's an investor's nightmare. Grayson McCall, I'm going to go over some of his numbers here. And by the way, if this gets around to him, please tell him that my son and my family, we really appreciate what he's done. We really appreciate his athleticism. I don't know him as a individual. For all I know, he's a terrible person. I don't know. I'm talking merely football. So, in 2020, the year that most of us would like to forget and wish we could go back to how things were before that year, he came out, started. He was 172 out of 250 passes. So a kid threw 250 passes. 68, almost 69% completion percentage, 2,488 yards, an average of 10 yards per play, 26 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His longest play was 75-yard long bomb. The guy could play. They had in that season the historic game against BYU, which to me is one of my favorite games in recent history. It's a big deal. Last year, he came out, completed 176 out of 241, 73% completion percentage, 2,873 yards on the season. He bettered his average, 11.9 yards per reception, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, had a 99-yard long pass. Now, most of that was done by Mr. Isaiah Likely. Yes, the same Isaiah Likely that's in the NFL, who's doing fantastic. And I think, aside from Brock Purdy, is one of the best pickups in the flipping NFL. Just pause there for a second. Isaiah Likely, when that guy walked out on the field, just the way he walked, I elbowed my son. I bumped him and I said, just the way he walks looks like one of those big league players. Like one of those guys. I mean, they've got it. Whatever it is, he's got it. And that play was Tim. You could go pull that up on YouTube. It's just fantastic. So he loses Isaiah Likely. And this season, he still throws 197 out of 285, 2,633 yards, 69% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 75-yard long play. By the way, he battled injury all this season, and he battled injury at the end of last season. Okay? These numbers are with him battling injury. This guy's a real deal. I mean, this guy is the real deal. And there's a part of me who's like, I don't want him to leave because I enjoy watching him. And then there's a part of me that says, if anybody is going to go get that NIL money, please let it be this guy. Rushing. I cannot talk about Grayson McCall and not talk about his rushing. His running ability is what makes the RPO truly effective. Pause here. Here's a little lesson for people who doesn't understand the overly misused, grossly misused term, dual threat quarterback. Dual threat quarterback needs to be dissected. A quarterback, what is a quarterback? I know, you're like, well, I'm not going through this. Just walk through me. Just please hold my hand. Okay, that's weird. Don't hold my hand. Just walk with me. What is a quarterback? Quarterback calls the plays most of the time, calls it in the huddle, walks out there, and he distributes the ball. He throws the ball. So he walks out there, and he throws the ball. A quarterback has to be able to throw the ball accurately, has to have some sense of an arm on him that can throw the ball over 10 yards. Okay? What's the dual threat part? Well, it means he can run. It's not only, okay, he's just quick enough to extend the play a little bit, just a little bit. No, the guy can actually take off and run. You have to respect that aspect of his ability. All right? You have to respect that at any moment that if the defense has locked down on the receivers, all he has to do is tuck the ball and take off. Because if you don't account for that, guess what happens? Mr. Wonderful takes off, and you're going, holy crap. Trevor Lawrence was a true dual threat quarterback. I know he's a 6'6", tall, white, skinny stick back there. And when you think of dual threat quarterback, you think of guys like Lamar Jackson, and rightfully so. But Trevor Lawrence could leave you in the dust. He could extend plays. Grayson McCall is a true dual threat quarterback because you have to respect his throwing arm, his decision making, and his ability to pull the ball down and run. That is a dual threat quarterback. Everybody else who's back there and he's a dual threat quarterback and you can't throw the ball worth of crap. It's a glorified running back who throws the ball every now and again. That's not this guy. Grayson McCall is the flipping man. Rushing in 2020, 111 attempts, 569 yards, averaged 5 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns, had a 62-yard long touchdown. In 2021, he ran the ball 93 times, 290 yards. Remember, he had some injuries there. Their only loss that season. He did not play. He was hurt. I was at the game, unfortunately. So I take that back. I've only seen him play twice live. I've seen them, Coastal Carolina, play 3 times. I lied. You got me. I could be a politician. This year, he didn't run the ball near as much. They threw the ball a whole lot more. And, of course, he had some injuries. 87 attempts, 183 yards, only 2 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, had a 21-yard long touchdown. Career-wise, over 1,000 yards, rushing, average at 3.6, 16 touchdowns. The guy's dangerous. The guy's a dangerous player. And I'm looking as we speak. Sid Irish said, we'll take him at Notre Dame. Yeah. I've enjoyed Mike Talley says I've enjoyed Coastal football, and I wish all those guys the very best moving forward. Best wish to those moving on. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The guys who are moving on, I get it, because who wants to stick around post Jamie Chadwell? And I know for a lot of like really devout Coastal fans, I can't say that I'm that, but I am a Coastal fan. I like Coastal. My son is a devout Coastal fan. And I can tell you point blank that they're concerned right now. Now, I know there's some of those people in there, they're going to just believe in the administration no matter what. And I'm going to tell you this, the AD, what is his name? Moglia. Please forgive me for that. I could just go look it up. Sorry for that. I'm not in an earthquake. I just wanted to change the way I was sitting because I did a long video before this on Mike Leach passing away. But there's some people right now who are wanting to take advantage of the NIL deal, and McCall is one of them. Why not? Especially with his – now I think if Chadwell would have came back, I think he would have stayed. But now maybe some of you who are on the inside know this a little better than me. But I wholeheartedly believe that Chadwell and McCall had a meeting and they talked about their futures. And how that meeting went, I don't know. But I believe wholeheartedly that they had a meeting and discussed their next moves. And I think that a lot of their next moves was contingent on the other. Chadwell, if you stay, I stay. If you go, I go. Well, you can make a lot of money if you go to one of these bigger schools. Definitely happened for Chadwell. He's making $1 million a year at Coastal. Now he went up to Liberty, and he's making $4 million a year. It's a business decision. I don't hate them for it. I go to work every day. thankful for my job, but if I can make $4 million, heck, if I can make $500,000 a year, I mean, I'd be wow. But the point here is there had to be a meeting. There was a meeting. So if someone already has confirmed that has happened, please put it in the comment section. Just to at least let me know that my intuition is right. I believe that they did talk to each other and make a decision. I think Josiah Stewart knew it was coming too. He was like, hey, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go through the comment section here real quick. Sid Irish, we'll take him at Notre Dame. He would be fantastic at Notre Dame. I know that there's a lot of swirlings that he might end up at Auburn. Auburn with Hugh Freeze. How funny would that be if he went and played for Hugh Freeze? Because the only loss that he had in that 2020 season was the bowl game against Hugh Freeze with Liberty. And the reason that whole game that lives in infamy against BYU ended up happening is because they were supposed to play Liberty that weekend. Something happened with COVID. Liberty cancels. At the last minute, they hit up BYU and said, how about y'all bicycle pedal out here? They showed up. He would be a great pickup at Notre Dame. Everybody else who doesn't know this, I love these guys. This is my team. Grew up right outside of Clemson. Had to pass by the stadium every day. This is my team. I actually really like Notre Dame. Have no ties to the school, no ties to Catholicism. Family didn't go to school there, blah, 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 blah. I like them. Yes, they're overrated. Yes, they get shoved down people's throat all the time, but I still like them. That's also when Notre Dame fans who doesn't know that I like Notre Dame hear me criticize Notre Dame and they want to come out and wag their fingers and this, that, and the other. I'm like, you don't know who you're talking to. Anyway, Kenneth Burleson, one of my favorites. Drake May and Cade Klubnik are the two best dual threat quarterbacks in the country. Grayson McCall is third. The reason I said that he's the best, and I respect that. Those two quarterbacks are amazing. The reason I say he's the best, he has more time under his belt as a leader. He was not nearly as highly rated coming out of high school with them than they were. And you see what he's done. He did not have the talent around him that they've had. And you see the great things that he's done. Yes, Isaiah Likely was amazing. And the receivers at Coastal, they're not terrible, but they're definitely not at the level of Josh Downs. They're not at the level of Bo Collins, which Bo Collins didn't play in that game, where Cade came out and did exactly what we knew he could do, while the people who's being paid millions and millions of dollars told all us little peons to keep our mouth shut and go back to our redneck camps, but to be sure to come out on Saturday and scream all in. That's what we were told. Yeah, I'm still a little bitter over it. But that's the reason that I lean towards that he's definitely the man. Kayla Thompson says his backup, Bryce Carpenter, did get arrested. He did get arrested. There'll be more we'll find out about that. I hope that it's not what it is, because I don't mean this bad, but there's a lot of times people will lie about certain things. But if there's video and it shows him doing it, it's pretty bad. Used to in the world of, and I know this is a really touchy subject. Some people are going to get offended at me for saying this. I'm not trying to do this for shock value, but this is the truth. Just because a woman says that she has been assaulted or whatever, we still need to go through proven, innocent until proven guilty, because I know someone firsthand who accused a guy of doing some stuff to her. And then, bold-faced lied, claimed that he had forced himself on her. And then a few weeks later, with everybody breathing down this guy's neck, he's about to go to jail, she bust out crying and tell one of her friends that she actually had a relationship with him, cheated on her boyfriend. And when everybody found out, she claimed that he forced himself, when it wasn't the truth. Folks, I'm just telling you, I don't know what went on there. We just need to just take it as it goes. If you watched my video just a second ago about Mike Leach and the whole controversy that happened to him back in 2010, 2011, somewhere in there, ESPN was more than happy to try to drive their ratings by smearing Mike Leach's name, and only to come to find out that everything that was pushed was a lie. So we do want to be very careful about that, but so far it does not look good. Mike Talley, I'm going to tell you this, Mike Talley. What you just said right there, and by the way, Jonathan Benton, who is doing what now? Grayson McCall's transferring. I know that's old news. That's from yesterday, but I'm also talking about where he could land. And I think Auburn's going to be it. If I was Tennessee, I'd dial him up. I would dial him up right now. I don't care if they do have that 5-star kid coming in out of California. I would dial him up. Could you imagine him playing for Josh Heupel? Oh, my Lord. But, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Mike Talley, I think I might need to bronze your comment because your comment is exactly how I feel. In fact, I feel like I need to just stand here and have a moment of silence of how good your comment is. Everybody, if you want to click out and blah, 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 you do it right now. I think I'm going to fight my high blood pressure, and I'm just going to meditate on Mike Talley's comment, and then I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. Just give it. Just let it out, Brian. Let it out. God, I feel all my troubles going away. Okay, here we go. Mike says Coastal coaches made great players with good scheme. Our problem at Clemson right now is that we're making excellent players mediocre with poor scheme. Boom. That happened. That just happened, folks, live. That went down live right here. Mike spitting truth bullets. You know, do you smell what Mike is cooking? Yes, I'm smelling it and I'm liking it. You're right, Mike. Okay, we're 27 minutes into this video. So I'm going to give myself to the 28-minute and 29-minute mark. So it's going to be a minute and a half to rant, starting now. Trevor Lawrence was no better at the end of his career at Clemson than he was at the end of his freshman season. They're great players that they had. ETN. We had T. Higgins. We had all of these great players on the offense. Amari Rodgers. We could just keep going. They covered up mediocre coaching and mediocre development. Tyson Pomachew, however you say his name, came in. Didn't pan out. Hunter Johnson came in. Oh, he's transferring because of Trevor. Didn't pan out. Kelly Bryant, they couldn't get him to change. They couldn't get him to change up, but still could have moved him, blah, 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 blah. He didn't pan out. We're seeing Frank Ladson, didn't pan out. We're looking at Dakari Collins, seemingly didn't pan out, but I think there's more to that. We have E.J. Williams, came in, had an amazing freshman season. After that, didn't pan out. Folks, is it the 4- and 5-star fault? Well, you got to watch out, Brian, because not everybody who's a 4 or 5-star is actually 4 or 5-star. You can't get caught up in stars, and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden, all these players aren't going to pan out. Folks, by the law of numbers, if all of your 4- and 5-star players, the majority of them or half of them are just fizzling out, but you can take Grayson McCall from Indian Trail, North Carolina, and make him run one of the best. You know what that's called? That's called a problem with player development. And I don't care how much they pay you. That's on you. Kenneth Burleson, you may be right, but Cade is still largely improving. UNC wasn't much of a test. Hopefully he moves forward, not backwards like Tiger quarterbacks have been known to do in recent years. Mike Talley nailed it, though. You're right. I mean, hopefully Cade needs to be proven. That's the reason I'm saying, once again, that I believe that Grayson McCall is the best RPO quarterback in the country right now because he's proven it. Mike, I agree. Y'all run the same thing no matter what. Real talk, Trevor was still a number 1 pick. His best season was in his freshman year at Clemson. Yeah, it was. It was his best year. Parker Henderson said Biden didn't pan out either. Big shock. Big shock that didn't happen. Big shock that there's a laptop that everybody's finding out now, 2 years after the fact. Oh God, politics. I could sit here and rant over it for a long period of time, and you know me. 18 people's in here, 9 thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. It's free. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to say this. I wish the very best to Grayson McCall. I wish the very best to Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is a very cool school down in, I rhymed every time, down in Conway, South Carolina. In fact, I want to try to get down there more. I wanted to see them play more this season, other than just the 2 times, because a lot of the times their tickets are really affordable, and you would see good football. Now, what will that be like moving forward without Chadwell, McCall, etc.? We'll see. I don't know. I do believe their AD tries to make the right move. I don't know a lot about him. I do know that he has this crazy venture capitalist or financial analyst background, made a lot of money on Wall Street, and then he came back to the game and all this bunch of stuff. That's a really, really cool story. So he is definitely looking at hiring the right person. He did a great job with Jamie Chadwell. We don't know if he got lucky there. Most likely, he probably saw something that he trusted. And so we'll see how that pans out. But I will tell you that if you go to a game there, it's really, really not. Midlands director says, we need a Not Bobby Durkin's political rant channel. I could only do that on Rumble, and I'll leave it at that. I would only do that on Rumble. I could not say some of the things that I say here. And I'm a Christian, so I'm not going to go on some cussing tirade, and I'm not going to say a bunch of at the end of the day, every person who is sucking wind, God created, and God wants to redeem them. And I want to be very careful that I never cross that line to where I feel like I should be redeemed and no one else should be, because that's arrogant. With that basis and benchmark, I also step back and say that there's a lot of people lying, and a lot of people are doing things that is wrong, and we can't just paint a broad stroke of, well, everybody lies, and well, they do that, anyway. And anyway, yeah, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut there. But hey, if anybody wants me to start a political channel, I will start it on Rumble, and just be honest, and you might have to support me, because you never know who might take that wrong and I get fired. That's one of the reasons I haven't dove into political issues. But though I do work for a fantastic company. They've been good to me. I'm not covering my tail there. They have been good to me. And so anyway, hopefully Coastal, going back, and I'm closing now. Coastal is Coastal is a special place. Their football, if you've never been down there, you're driving down, what is it? Is it 501 or 544? I think it's 544. If you're driving down through there, all of a sudden you see this, decent sized stadium. It's nothing like Death Valley or Williams-Brice or something like that. It's a decent sized little stadium. Only holds about 21,000 people. But you see it, it's right there. And it's just this majestic little, they've done a lot of good work there. And as you drive by, it opens up, you can actually see in and see their nice scoreboard. And it's a special place. It's a special place. My sister got into school there, almost went to school there. And I called her when I visited last year with that game. And I said, dude, we should have come to school here because it's so much fun. You're right there at the beach. She said, don't tell me that. I wish them the very best. It's 544. Thanks, Midlands. But Grayson McCall deserves the chance to consistently play in a big league, not to lower rate what he has done up to this point. But I'm saying, I believe wholeheartedly that if he played against a lot of big-time teams, and he just had solid talent around him. He doesn't have to have superstars around him, just good, solid talent who go out there and catch the football. A decent line that'll protect him. A decent running back who can – he doesn't have to be Travis Etienne, but just a good, solid back you have to respect. Like I'm telling you right now, do not be shocked when this guy comes out and blows the doors off of college football and then hopefully lands himself in a great place for the draft because he's a competitor. Like he is a man's man playing football. And once again, I don't know him, never met him. He could be a great person, could be a terrible person. I'm just talking about football. He's done great things, and I wish him the very best and wish Coastal the very best. If you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. I'm Brian Knight. I am not Bobby Durkins. Not right here. But you know I'm Bobby Durkins. Even on the most questionable days, even on some of the most annoying times in being a Clemson fan, it's always good to be a Tiger. And yes, I will be talking about the Orange Bowl. Yes, I will be talking about the Tennessee game. I will be talking about Miles Murphy sitting out. I will talk about Trenton Simpson, our best linebacker, one of the best linebackers in the country, not playing because he's injured. I will be talking about the players not playing for Tennessee. It's a big deal. Of course, Hendon Hooker, he's hurt. He won't be playing. So this Orange Bowl is going to be a crushed orange. I'm trying to do a play on words there. I really don't know. Anyway, trying to get cute with it. I will be talking about that soon, but I won't be talking about it tonight. Pass this along. As I said, even when it's annoying, it's always good to be a Clemson fan. Go Tigers.